Buenos noches, amigos, and welcome to another episode of Not Another Sox podcast. I am Jack Webster here with Matt Galveo and Matt LeBeau as always. We are still locked out with no end in sight.
That's right. We are still locked out. Like you said, no end in sight, Jack. But we got some good news. We got some good news with the Hall of Fame voting. And Rob, that's obviously one thing we're for sure going to start off with. Not good news as far as CBA goes so far. But we got some good news, though, with our guy getting in the Hall.
Yeah. The lockout is baseball's taking a hit. Let's be honest. You know, we got the lockout. We got the Hall of Fame voters. No Bonds, no Clemens. Meanwhile, the NFL is just absolutely destroying it. So
yeah,
it's an uphill battle for baseball. But I mean, we did get at least some news on the lockout front. So they're talking. You know, some things are progressing. So we'll see. That's all we can do is wait.
I just wish Rob Manfred was as good at rigging baseball as Goodell at rigging football, because he did an A-plus job over this last weekend. I mean, I'm only like a casual fan, but even I was watching, all those games go down, and I was like, man, this is like WWE wrestling. I don't know how real it actually is at the end of the day, but I'm just going to pretend that it is and really enjoy it.
Yeah, Vince McMahon couldn't have scripted it any better.
Yeah. My theory is that Rob Manfred is actually a sleeper cell for like the NBA or the NFL to sabotage baseball, because there's a spot for the number 2 most popular sport in America. And I think it should be the MLB. Some think, it's the NBA, but I think that the MLB has the best chance to take the spot. But Manfred here, he has the blackouts. We have the Hall of Fame voting, which is an absolute disaster. We have the lockout, and so many other issues that have been handled so poorly by his administration. So, I think the NFL and the NBA are paying him a lot of money to sabotage the MLB.
Right.
Yep.
I don't even think he's that competent, though. Like, I feel like they sent him out to do it, and he's trying to ruin it, and then he's just kind of like tripping on the same banana peel 4 times in a row, trying to catch his balance every time. It's quite the circus act.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like Mario Kart, dude. He keeps slipping on the bananas there. That's right.
It's like the same one, and then you get fucking struck by lightning, and then you're tiny, and then all of a sudden you're fucking 8th place.
Then you get hit by the bullet, and then you're done.
And then fucking Yoshi laps you, and then it's just nunites. That's what's happening with Manfred right now. He's going nunites. Yoshi just lapped Rob Manfred.
Yeah.
And fucking Toad is not too far behind him. So the panic button has been hit for the Rob Manfred administration.
Oh yeah.
No, don't worry. He's going to make it into the Hall of Fame, though, with no worries at all, just like his buddy Bud Selig made it in with no question about his actual resume. Like, if you're the commissioner of baseball, you will make it into the Hall of Fame above some of the best players of all time.
Yeah, which is absolutely ridiculous. And the other thing is that Bud Selig knowingly allowed guys to take steroids and swept it under the rug for so long. And then you're going to come back as the MLB and say that these guys aren't deserving. Like, someone made a really good point about that. Like, if you're gonna allow them to do steroids for that long period of time, then you can't come back and then say they don't deserve to be in the Hall of Fame. I mean, it's just ridiculous. It's so ridiculous.
Yeah, and he absolutely benefited from the McGwire Sosa home run chase in '98. I mean, baseball was just coming off a strike, and that really regained a lot of popularity, made it the number 2 sport in America. And I mean, especially during the summer when there's no football, that's what the attention of everybody was on. And that was the beauty of steroids. And I think that not only should we make steroids legal in baseball again, but mandatory.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, we've said it before that you should take steroids. That's we've given that advice a few episodes back. So I think the MLB should take a page out of our book. Maybe we'll send them the link to the episode, and they can listen for themselves, and they can put that mandate in for the players.
Yeah, for sure. I think that's a really good idea, Matt. Good point. I definitely think that if you're a kid and you're deciding on between doing steroids and not, I would definitely do them. I think that's obvious. I mean, do you want to be as cool as Barry Bonds? Of course you do. But as a baseball player, like another good point that was made, it's like if you tell me that I could get generational wealth by taking steroids, then I'm sorry, you're going to do it. Like everyone's going to do it. That's why, like, dude, the guys that got caught. The guys that didn't get caught didn't. Doesn't mean they didn't do it. They just didn't get caught.
Right.
Were some guys clean? Yeah, I'm sure. But
nerds.
Yeah, nerds.
Yeah, the nerds of baseball.
Yeah. Virgins.
Yeah, exactly. But dude, imagine the guys back in the day that were just doing like God knows what. Like you don't even know what they were doing back in like 70s, 80s. Like
oh yeah,
it's crazy.
No, I mean you mentioned that like obviously taking steroids might make you more money too, but it also makes you a good teammate because it makes you better at this sport where you're trying to win the World Series. Like you're being selfish if you don't take steroids, and you don't want your team to have the best chance of winning because the other guys are taking steroids. It's all fine at the end of the day.
Right. Yeah,
that's a great point.
I'm really struggling. Someone who is impartial. I'm really struggling to find the downsides of the steroid use.
If we had a pros and cons list, the cons list is looking real slim right now.
Yeah, hot seat cons.
Hot
seat is cons right now.
Cons for sure. Yep.
Yeah, it's like you're trying to make a list of like why you should break up with them, and you start seeing just one side pile up a whole lot more than the other, and you end up taking steroids and you end up looking really cool and smoking cigarettes, and eventually you can become president of the United States.
Yeah,
that's right. That is the path. That is the path.
Yeah.
So I think
this is the way.
I mean, right. Yeah. Well, if like The Rock were to become president, then I mean he's a roided out freak, or like Schwarzenegger, like he could become president. I don't know. But he might be past his prime now. But
I was gonna say I think that whole being born in America thing might hurt Schwarzenegger.
Yeah. Yeah, but if anyone can change the rules, it'd be him.
Yeah.
Or I would say all presidents do drugs. So it's either you do cocaine or steroids. So right now, all of our presidents have chosen cocaine. But if we have like The Rock, then his drug would be steroids.
Right.
So.
Right. And look at how big he is, dude.
Yeah.
You talk about generational wealth. I mean, goddamn.
Yeah.
This guy started out as a wrestler and now he's just doing everything.
Yeah. I know. Wild.
What a guy.
Yep.
Yeah. Next thing you know, he'll be the fourth host on this podcast.
Yeah.
Yeah. Dwayne The Rock Johnson, if you are listening, you have an open seat.
Yep.
Big Red Sox guy. And Little Wayne.
Yeah.
Know who the only guy who didn't take steroids is? David Ortiz.
Yep.
That's right. Yeah, He never did.
There is no way that you can prove David Ortiz actually took steroids. It's literally impossible to actually prove it because he didn't.
And that's the thing. Like Ortiz showed up on a test for a banned substance that was never known in 2003, and that's when they were doing they were testing for everything. Like, dude, he could have showed up for it could have been a Chili's 2 for $20. Like, you don't even know.
He could have just ate a chicken crisper.
It could have just been a chicken crisper. Shout out Chili's. I just had some myself. Like, it could have been literally, and it could have been creatine. It could have been like BCAAs. And then they tested him religiously after that, after 2003, which, mind you, that's when he was actually good, after 2003, which they were testing him constantly, and he never failed another test. So, no, David Ortiz did not do steroids.
No, so it even goes beyond that. He wasn't in the initial Mitchell report that was supposed to be anonymous in the first place. But I think it was 2009 when his name was anonymously attached to it by some leaked source. But MLB was still never able to actually release any of the documents because they were anonymous, and they weren't even able to give Ortiz any of the documents because they were anonymous. So there's really no way to prove it. There's, over a dozen false positives that came out of that as well. So the entire report is just basically useless if you're trying to villainize somebody or, trying to prove that they actually did steroids. There's no way they could hold up in any actual court of law. And there's no way that you should actually count it towards a failed test because they didn't fail a test. It was a survey. Like they didn't, get suspended. They didn't get in any trouble. This is just to kind of see where the state of baseball was at. And it wasn't supposed to single out players. It was supposed to just see a all around league census in a way.
Right. But then, like anything else, they always found a way to just flip it and, start trying to target like single players, which,
Yeah.
Yeah.
But again, what I fail to understand, right, is like, and this goes for Clemens and Bonds too, where their cases were obviously way more significant. But Clemens had a Hall of Fame resume far before steroids were even around in the sport. Same thing with Barry Bonds. Ortiz had obviously rigorous tests all through from 2004 to 2016. He retired. His best years, that's when he was an absolute superstar, and he never once tested positive. So worst case scenario, if David Ortiz tested positive for steroids in fucking 2002, then who gives a shit? That's what I just don't understand. Yeah. It doesn't it's like if you want to maybe blackball a guy because obviously steroids was impacting his performance, or maybe he got suspended and hurt his team, like a Robinson Cano. How many times has Cano been suspended now for PEDs? So it's like that hurts his team, right? I think that's a valid point. But Clemens, Bonds, Ortiz, no, these guys they should be in 100%.
Yeah, I mean it's crazy. I mean, like LeBeau, like you were saying with Clemens. I mean, this guy was like one of the most dominant pitchers, if not the most dominant pitcher, for like a 10-year stretch. Yeah. And then the same thing with Bonds. I mean, it's crazy how the guy who literally leads the MLB in all-time home runs is not in the Hall of Fame, which is supposed to be, a history of the sport. And the guy that literally leads the all-time home run list is not in there, it's crazy.
It is.
No, I mean, it's an injustice to the sport. I mean, I know that the all-time hits leader, Pete Rose, is also not in. That is a little different. There were hard rules against gambling where it said you're banned for life. And, he hasn't done himself any favors to, overturn that either. So he's put himself in a little bit of a hole. But someone like Barry Bonds, it's really just because, or I shouldn't say just because, there are a lot of people that, hold their foot down, no steroids ever, because I saw, Mickey Huxtable play in 1942. And, he did it pure, even though there was no black players on the field. And, it just really feels like they're just, gatekeeping this. And I hate to explain it like this, but it's really selfish just because Bonds was a dick to the media because they were a dick to him and a dick to his father. And so he had a grudge against them and he didn't want to be nice to them. And there's no part of the job description that says you have to be nice to the media. He came in, did his job better than anybody else in the history of baseball. And he's not going to be recognized amongst, fucking Dick Allen, who hit like 295, and that's the reason why he's in the fucking Hall of Fame.
Yeah. And another thing, obviously, a lot of the attention is on Bonds, which he is the greatest hitter that I've ever watched play. Besides, Kike Hernandez in October.
Right.
But the other thing is like, dude, Clemens, he dominated in 3 different decades. Like, dude, the freaking 80s, the 90s, and the 2000s. He was good in every single one of those decades. Like, he had some down years, sure. But, I mean, the guy was, for one, just looking at his career with the Red Sox alone, the 80s and the early 90s, was a Hall of Fame career enough. Then what he did in Toronto was awesome. And then New York, and then Houston. All those years pitching into his 40s. I mean, The guy was just a maniac, superstar, and steroids can only do so much. Like maybe did steroids help McGwire hit an extra 10 bombs? Probably, yeah. Did they help Roger Clemens pitch effectively into his 40s for 4 different teams in 2 different leagues and win multiple Cy Youngs and an MVP? No, that's fucking absurd. That really is absurd to think that.
No, and the main reason why guys take steroids isn't really to, get more buff or strong. You saw that, with some of the guys like McGwire and Sosa. But the main reason you do it is just to recover quickly. It's, just to make you feel better after, a long 162 plus spring training plus October baseball if you're lucky enough. It takes a toll on you. And I mean, it's understandable that, a guy, especially before 2004 when you kind of knew what a steroid was, you kind of thought it was just a needle in the ass like what fucking A-Rod did. But like, it comes in creams, it comes in pills, it comes in like flaxseed oil if you're Gary Sheffield. And all different types of things. Fucking deer antler spray is banned, and new things get banned every year. You're buying them over the counter at GNC, like probably David Ortiz did, and you don't think twice about it.
Yeah, no, I mean it really is. And they were testing for so many different things. So who knows what it was for? But all I know is it really is a shame that guys like Bonds, guys like Clemens will probably never get in, but they could with what is it, the modern game ballot or
the Veterans Committee?
Yeah, so they'll be placed on various ballots throughout until they get in, really. So the next one that they're eligible for is next year is called the modern day ballot, which examines players like from the 1990s to now, essentially. So it would be surprising if they wouldn't be on at least that ballot of like a short list of voters. I'm not exactly sure how it's chosen, but they'll get their chances. They'll be on, older ones whenever they get a chance as well and everything. So I really do think it's actually a matter of when and not if they got in. And I think MLB just made itself look bad by not putting them in the correct way. And now they're going to have to be backed in, and it's going to create even more of a controversy, really, for the rest of the history of baseball.
Right. Oh, this is something that'll be talked about, Jesus, till they die, really. I mean, it's just a shame altogether that they're not in. And if they do having to get in that way, it's just like, dude, come on. Like, that's just gross. But I know people, like we've mentioned, with the Shaughnessy's and, other baseball writers, they, sometimes think they're just God. And, this is pretty much what happens. This is the bitch of it. So,
yeah. Speaking of God and guys that are already in Cooperstown, I think we're going to check up on Jason Dominguez this episode again.
Yeah. I think we're going to talk about it later, but I mean,
okay.
So the second active Hall of Famer, shout out Sandy Leone in Section 10, is Jason Dominguez with 2 S's. Don't forget to put in the second S.
Yep.
Because otherwise you're racist. And then so despite making it into the Hall of Fame, he jumped from like the number 1 prospect in baseball into like the 90s just with one season of actually people seeing him live in person. They're like, oh, never mind. We can't really just take him off the list. They'll notice, but we're going to bury him down deep in the 90s.
Yeah, you really do have to love it. It is it's awesome. It's awesome to see. And like I said last episode, I think this is gonna, like, if he is a bust, this will do Yankee fans in. Like, this is gonna you're just gonna see a lot of guys just disappear. Like, they're just gonna be gone.
Well, that's the wildest part. We did call it 2 episodes ago, and it's actually on a faster track than we even imagined. He might be in the KBO by 2023 at this point.
Yep.
So did Not Another Sox podcast, are we the demise of Jason Dominguez?
Yeah.
It's his own demise. We didn't do anything. we just saw it coming.
I think we should try to maybe predict that Jeter Downs will be good, because I think we called that Jason Dominguez is going to be bad.
Yeah.
So I think
I'm
Jeter
buying
Downs is
low
going to
on
be a
him.
superstar. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think if we call that should come to fruition.
We'll call it right
I think
now.
it's gonna do him really well having no pressure on him whatsoever now. Like, because the Red Sox are, probably gonna sign somebody to, make a splash, and he can stay down in Worcester for however long that he needs to, and just really be the best defensive Jeter in baseball history. I mean,
The
just
real
given that
Jeter.
he is above 100, negative 161 defensive runs saved, he already is. So I'm really excited if he can literally just hit at all.
That's right, Jack. I want to applaud. I want to applaud you for that and for his demise. That was big. And I also wanted to mention you did tweet earlier today, I think on the NASP account, that the Yankee fans were actually already doing the hypothetical trades with Miguel Andujar.
Yeah, I mean, it feels like Groundhog's Day. I've seen this one before. I mean, it's just literally every single day you wake up, you refresh Twitter, and it's just like, okay, we're gonna trade Miguel Andujar, Luis Heel, and this fucking 27th ranked Yankees prospect for Byron Buxton and a
Josh
player to be
Hader.
named later. Yeah, Josh Hader. It really just feels like I'm living the same nightmare over and over and over again. And like I wake up in the middle of the night with a cold sweat, and then I don't know if I'm actually living or not. And it's a whole thing.
And then you see the Hat Man.
And then I see the Hat Man.
Let me just say this. It's we're recording this on a Friday night. We're expecting to get hammered with a blizzard tomorrow. So if you're anywhere in New England, you know that. My biggest fear about the blizzard is Yankee fans are going to be stuck inside with access to a computer, Twitter, a phone. The hypothetical trades tomorrow are going to be off the freaking chain.
Oh my
I
God.
wonder how many times Miguel Andujar is going to get dealt tomorrow during this blizzard.
Yeah.
He's just going to be traded for every player in the major leagues tomorrow.
And I can only imagine some type of like Marvel universe, like multiverse, where all these trades do happen, and like a different reality where Miguel Andujar is on every single team in MLB and on like the Carousel team down in the Dominican Republic, and just like in South African cricket and shit like that. So I think Miguel Andujar is really almost like the Spider-Man of MLB right now, in the way that there's just so many different versions out him and so many different realities.
Yeah, there's universe out there where Miguel Andujar was dealt for LeBron James, and he is currently a Laker, and LeBron is a Yankee. Out there, it exists somewhere.
And now Miguel Andujar has part ownership in the Red Sox.
Yep.
Yeah. and our Pittsburgh Penguins.
Yes, that's right.
Yep.
That's right.
Miguel Andujar sold to the Boston Red Sox to fund Broadway musical No No Nanette.
Miguel Andujar kills his wife in a fire.
Yeah, lights wife on fire.
Babe Ruth, shout out, scumbag.
Yep. Shout out to the biggest scumbag in baseball history.
I can't believe he's in the Hall of Fame.
Dude, and that video of him like teaching pitching to kids the other day was making
Jack, that was
rounds
so
on
funny.
Twitter. Yeah, like literally, it is absolute slop. Like I can't believe people actually think like players from that time period could play in any generation today whatsoever. They would get train rolled, and if you put like fucking Jacob deGrom against like the 1932 Murderers Row, he's gonna throw a no-hitter every single time.
Right. But I will say, though, Babe Ruth does deserve some credit because he was so much better than the rest of the league. And, like, there was nothing stopping the rest of the league from being that good. So, like, now Babe Ruth, he would probably hit, like, 210, maybe, like, 16 bombs, right? And he probably might be, like, a AAA player. But, like, everyone else back then could have been as good as he was. One year he had more home runs than the entire rest of the league. Like that's incredible. Like he was truly amazing. But I mean, now he would get smoked.
Dude, I
also,
feel like that. Yeah.
Also, real quick,
go
like
ahead.
they say that like the Cooperstown, right, to get into the Hall of Fame, they take character into consideration. Well, clearly not, because I'm not saying that Babe Ruth doesn't deserve to be in, because he's one of the greatest baseball players of all time. But he has a whole shrine in Cooperstown, and he lit his wife on fire.
People forget.
He has a whole shrine.
Yeah. And people forget he was just kind of a general asshole too. Like most of the players back then that saw someone who had different skin pigment and were just like, "You're different than me." So I think all those guys should be banned.
Yeah.
Yep. Which also kind of brings us to Curt Schilling as well.
Yeah.
He did fall off the ballot. I think it's for the best. I hope he makes it in on one of those veterans committees, but that would have been an absolute shit show to actually see him give that speech at Cooperstown.
Oh my God, I can only imagine what
I would have paid money to see it though.
Would have been great TV. Would have been great TV.
Yeah, obviously he's just too over the top.
Yeah, I was gonna say that video, Jack, that you were mentioning of Babe Ruth showing the kids how to throw different pitches, pretty much reminded me of when we went through our Garrett Cole and how he just spoke like some 1950s owner or like manager from like a
diner,
some diner, yeah.
Yeah.
And then, like, that's literally how Babe Ruth was talking to the kids. He was like, "Hello, kiddos. I'm going to teach you how to throw a curveball."
Yeah.
It was like, what? I was like, was Babe Ruth, was that Garrett Cole?
Yeah. Yeah, Garrett Cole and Babe Ruth. A lot of similarities. Both scumbags.
Yep.
Both talk like they're from the 1930s.
This falls into the Marvel multiverse where he went through some portal like Captain America or Frozen in Time, and then he came back now, and that really just explains everything. Except he's a villain. He's not a hero.
Yeah.
No. Right. For sure. We did have our boy get in, David Ortiz, Big Papi, first ballot. The only one to get in the Hall of Fame. So, shout out to David Ortiz, obviously legendary career with the Red Sox and Minnesota Twins. But yeah, shout out to Big Papi. What a career. And very well deserving of getting into the Hall first ballot.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, a lot can be said. DH, didn't know if he was going to be a first ballot Hall of Famer. I knew he was going to be a Hall of Famer, but obviously only being a DH, but just clutchest hitter of all time. The one of the most feared hitters when he was hot, and 500 plus home runs, 541 home runs. Just an unbelievable career. So much deserved.
No, and I mean, you guys kind of touched on it. I think it does do him a justice of actually being a first ballot Hall of Famer, because, a lot of guys do end up making it in, kind of like a Jim Rice on his 15th year or something. But to have that first ballot on kind of makes you in the upper echelon of already the top 0.1% of baseball players in history, not even. So to have that, extra honor is very much deserved for him, especially, like you guys were mentioning, all the home runs, all the postseason heroics. And not only that, but what he really meant to the city of Boston, especially after 2013 and 2004, bringing that championship here. So that all really ties into, his Hall of Fame resume, and I'm glad a lot of voters probably took that into consideration.
Yeah, no, for sure. And I feel like David Ortiz is like he just pretty much epitomized. He is Boston, you know what I mean? Like he is, he's that hardworking guy, blue collar guy. Came up through the ranks. When Minnesota, dealt him, and then he came to the Red Sox, and he ended up being, one of the clutchest, one of the, greatest Red Sox in history. So it's really great to see him get that first ballot honor. So, and shout out to David Ortiz and really all he's done for the city as well. Obviously, Jack, you have it in your background here. Him on, right after the marathon bombings. That speech that he gave, to the Fenway crowd right before the game. Just a moment that still gives you chills. And that's really who David Ortiz was. So it's really awesome to see him get in the hall and have that first ballot honor as well.
Yeah, and the game today has just been, I don't want to say watered down with like just the idea of just trying to be good over the course of 162, right? Which is like the idea. That's how you build a team. Like get a team that can be good, like, over the course of 162, and like just get guys that get on base. Well, like that's great. That I think that's a really good winning formula. I think that's a really good place to start. But you got to have guys that will do it when the moment is the biggest. You got to have guys that will drive in runs, and you got to, base runners are great, but if you don't have guys that will literally get them home, then base runners are useless. And Ortiz was the guy that was great with runners in scoring position in the small moments, in the big moments, and of course, in the huge moments. The moments that really defined his career were the big moments on the field and off the field, like with the speech, like with the grand slam against Detroit, the walk-off home runs, in the playoffs, or the walk-off hits in the playoffs against the Yankees. I mean, those are the moments that really define him as an athlete. And he's exactly what Boston needed at the right time, not only on the field, but off the field as well.
Yeah, and that 2013 playoff run, gross. Oh. Would he bat over like 600? It was crazy.
Yep. In the World
688 Series. In the World Series.
Yeah.
Like, I don't understand why you keep throwing anything even remotely over the plate to him. It was just unbelievable what he was able to do.
And that was the thing. It was like Mike Matheny. I don't think he just they finally came around to like walking him. I think it was like game 5 or something like that. It was the game before they went back to Boston, and they finally like intentionally walked David Ortiz. I was like, dude, stop throwing him the baseball. Same thing, Joe Torre, 0-4. Stop throwing him the baseball. I mean, just like stop throwing it to him. He is going to hit everything. And like a lot can be said about, sabermetrics and trying to find the best value and replacement level players. And as a DH, your numbers are always going to kind of be hit because you automatically get like negative 1.5 WAR if you're a DH. Like you just start out that way. I think that's how it works. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Despite it being, positioned in MLB for 50 years where you're not really hurting your team. It's part of the lineup. I never understood that about, the formula. But despite losing tons of points on defense for his wins above replacement, it was still 55.3, which is an amazing career. Some other guys might have similar wins above replacements, but I don't think that should be the benchmark of what you use to determine who's a Hall of Famer and who's not. It's a number, but I don't like people like, oh, he has a 60 WAR, he deserves to make it to the Hall of Fame. I think that's lazy in a way, even.
Yeah, and that's the thing. I mean, there's a lot of things that Ortiz did that you can't measure with a calculator, and you can't see on a stat sheet, but they were incredibly important. Also, though, 500 home runs, that should be an automatic ticket to the Hall. No matter what.
Oh,
if you hit 500 bombs, you should get in.
And not only that, like, it wasn't like he was like a Mark McGwire type-esque player. He hit over 600 doubles. He hit more doubles than he did home runs. So he was just a good hitter at the end of the day. And with Boston, I mean, he hit 290 over a 14-year career. I mean, batting average really isn't a good benchmark anymore, but even a 386 on base and a 570 slugging, like over the course of an entire career, that's just unbelievable consistency. And I mean, even that last year in 2016, finished 6th in MVP voting. He had a he led the entire American League in OPS and doubles, RBIs, and still hit 38 home runs. And I mean, like, he really just put it all on the line. There's some seasons that might not be as good as others, like 2012 or even 2011, but like he still just was unbelievably consistent.
For sure. And also, I mean, 2016, if he even played like first base half of the season, he probably would have won MVP. But winning it as a DH is just so hard to do. I mean, it's really almost impossible. But he finished sixth. He could have easily finished first if he played the field. Like, he would have probably finished first.
Yeah. And he should have won the MVP award in 2005. He lost to known steroid user and cheater Alex Rodriguez, who is a completely different case than David Ortiz, and people lumping Ortiz and even Bonds and Clemens and Sheffield into the same conversation. Again, it's just very lazy, and you're not actually telling the story of what happened at all. You're just saying, I'm only going to vote for really who I want.
Right. I did. I think you said 2005. I think you meant 2006.
He did finish second in MVP voting in 2005.
Interesting. I didn't know that.
Yeah. He finished third in 2006.
Oh, okay. Because I knew 2006 was his home run year. So, wow. So, okay. So, in 2005, he finished second behind A-Rod.
Yes.
Okay.
I was looking at it just to double check.
Yeah. No, that's interesting. Wow. A-Rod had a 9.4 WAR that year. Holy shit.
And he also had several needles in his butt.
Yeah. Dude, what a year, though, from A-Rod. Holy fuck.
Yeah, that's unbelievable.
That's insane. 48 bombs. Jesus. Yeah. Well, Manny finished fourth that year. That was a good offensive year. Yankees had 4 guys in the top 10.
Jesus.
You remember how crazy that whole A-Rod biogenesis scandal was in 2013, though?
Oh yeah,
it was crazy. Yeah, that was.
Not only were the Red Sox just the team of destiny that year, but adding on to that dumb Yankee scandal of him just completely denying everything despite mountains of evidence is just probably one of the funnier things looking back at MLB history. And it's funny to see that he was actually punished and everything ended up coming out that he's an absolute scumbag. But it's so great looking back.
Oh, yeah. For sure. But Jack, he didn't know what he was doing. He didn't know what he was taking.
No,
he didn't know what he was taking. He was just taking stuff that his buddy was giving to him. That's all. That's all it was.
His buddy Anthony Bosch.
Yeah, Anthony
Bosch.
Good
guy too. Yeah.
No, good. No, Anthony Bosch has never done anything wrong in his life, and he's a known, like you said, good guy. # good guy. Good guy. Yeah. Anthony Bosch.
I think he deserves to be in the Hall of Fame above A-Rod even. He's contributed more.
Right. No, I think he should get on the ballot. You think he's getting on the ballot?
I think same thing. It's going to have to be one of those veterans committees, and he's going to have to backdoor his way in. They'll try to make it hush hush, but they'll get him in.
Maybe they'll make a shrine for him like Babe Ruth.
I think he might have his own wing even of the Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
Kind of where they have the gift shop. They'll just move that.
Yeah. Jack, have you ever been to Cooperstown?
Oh, I've been several times, yeah, and I've done the same thing that where you just leave at 5 o'clock in the morning and come back at midnight. But I think we were even talking about possibly going down for David Ortiz's induction ceremony, and
we're lining up an interview with him and everything. We're talking to him at right now, and we'll get him on when we're up there.
I would like to talk to him. That'd be cool. But
yeah,
I'm
just chopping it up with Ortiz. Not a big deal.
Yeah, maybe we can even get, some of the other Hall of Famers that are in, like Dennis Eckersley or like
Right.
Wade Boggs, two guys
Yeah.
on my list.
Yeah,
Or maybe like
Pedro.
Harold Baines.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll get Pedro
Jason
in there.
Dominguez, he'll be there. He's
Yeah.
getting
Yep.
he's one of those guys where he's already been in Cooperstown, but he goes back every year to welcome
Right.
in the new generation of Hall of Famers.
Yes. That'd be great to have. That would be great to have Dominguez in there.
Yeah, well, he's in the Hall of Fame.
Right, but it would be great to have him on the pod.
Yeah.
Jason, first question: why do you suck?
What happened to your career?
Why did we call your demise?
Yeah. How did we know that? How did we know that?
How have you gotten traded for every notable player in the league?
Yeah.
That's a good point that you did bring up earlier, LeBeau. Those trade scenarios and those mock trades are going to be unbelievable tomorrow.
Oh yeah, tomorrow you're in for it. It's going to be awesome.
Yeah.
Like right now, like they did all their stocking. They got their bread. They got their milk. They're charging, their battery packs on their phones, so they don't accidentally run out of power while doing it in the like MLB simulator where they're trying to see like what value each player has. And
they're writing down the
is
values,
so lopsided. Right? Yeah.
Yeah, they're writing down the values right now, so they have them all in their head. They already know that Matt Olson is worth 118.6, but Miguel Andujar is only worth 28. So they know it's going to be a lopsided trade, but they don't care. They're running through every possibility to get those numbers as close to even as possible. But
dude, I still remember this is this is probably probably 6 or 7 episodes ago, but how we had Jack, I think you were the one that found it, that guy on some Yankees Facebook group that had their whole starting 9 for 2022, and it was just the most ridiculous 1 through 9. It was every player was Mike Trout, everybody.
We're gonna have Trevor Story playing third base, batting 8th.
Yeah, Cody Bellinger was in center.
Yeah. Cody Bellinger was on there. Yeah.
Yeah.
Just a wild 1 through 9. But that's Yankee fans, and that's why we do love them.
Yeah. It's just I don't know. It's special with them because it's a level of delusion that I don't know how they got there. It's part delusional and then part entitlement too. So it's very special.
I do think it's entitlement.
It's a lot of entitlement to be
we're the Yankees. We can do whatever we want.
Right. But you can't, because you have to trade for most of those guys that you want. And
no. I think you're missing the point. We're the Yankees.
Right. But we do have Andujar and not Frazier anymore. So it's nice to see
Frazier. Yeah. Maybe
nice
they can throw.
And
maybe now they can throw.
Immediately shit on the Yankees right after.
Dude, that was hilarious.
Rightfully so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was awesome.
And we also tweeted out today, Chad Green also hates Yankees fans. He's liking the hate that they're posting on Twitter. So,
that's awesome.
I don't understand how that group of guys even managed to keep one turtle alive with the turmoil that's in that clubhouse. And they didn't.
They didn't. He died. He's dead.
Yeah, he's done.
Yeah, he's dead.
Well, maybe they can throw Bronxy in a trade or something. Maybe, I don't know, the corpse of him.
Right,
sorry,
one fucking person at a time.
Sorry.
Christ. Matt, what did you say?
No, I was going to say maybe they can throw the corpse of Bronxy in with a trade tomorrow.
Yeah.
That's got a lot of value.
Yeah, Bronxy.
Yeah. And I just can't imagine how many turtles they're going to go through next year just to keep up with the ruse of, Bronxy still being alive, despite, each one being a CIA deep state actor that, Hillary Clinton hired for her child army.
I hope to God they're not playing the Brewers, man, because they'll be going through Bronxies like it's their job.
Yeah, Hillary Clinton.
Hunter Renfroe.
sucks the life out of those baby turtles.
Wayfair
Bronxy
ships baby
gate.
turtles.
Bronxy Gate.
You heard it here first.
No, we've been predicting the future, so this is probably actually going to happen. But yeah, no, this is going to happen. We're predicting it right now. Yeah, go ahead.
One player that the Yankees will not sign, though, is Seiya Suzuki, who, despite not being able to talk to teams, is apparently closing in on some of them. So we'll see.
Yeah. I've obviously the rumors surrounding the Red Sox have been crazy, but I've heard other rumors. I've heard a lot of different things. I've heard that he likes the West Coast. It does look like that if he's going to go to an East Coast team, it does look like it's the Red Sox.
Right. And I think Koji's pushing that too. As you guys heard, we had an exclusive soundbite a couple episodes ago of Koji, on his show, his web show with Suzuki, and I think he's helping pitch in. He's helping pitch the Boston aspect of things. So I think we have a pretty good chance at making a run at him, and it looks like from some of the reports, it looks like he very well could end up in Boston, which would be great.
Yeah, I think if I'm Chaim Bloom, I'm literally showing him. I'm like, dude, we traded Hunter Renfroe for a fucking 190 hitter and Jackie Bradley Jr. all because we want you to play right field. Like dude, that's your selling point if you're Chaim Bloom. Like, look at what we just fucking gave up.
Do you
look
know
at what we got back?
Hunter Renfroe is? He's the killer.
Have you? But Seiya, have you seen Jackie Bradley Jr. hit? Because if you have, then you would know that now we have a gaping hole offensively in our lineup, and we desperately need you. Like, we made this move for you. And then Chaim could actually say that in Japanese. That'd be great. I know he's Jewish, but they both start with a J, so that's fine. And he could say that in Japanese, and then Suzuki he'll be, dude, fucking just ripping Chinese food and Asian food and fucking ramen in Boston by
dude,
8.
Unreal. There's some good spots though too.
Oh yeah, dude, 100%. Not as good as Seattle. So
no,
he's decided. Yeah, I mean, like if he wants to just like be surrounded by Asian people, and he can just go to Seattle. But I mean, I don't know.
There has not been a Japanese player that the Mariners have not been interested in their entire franchise history.
Oh,
they have been in on every single Japanese player that has ever existed, even like ones that never even ended up coming over.
Yeah, which it makes so much sense. It's like think about like if like if Ireland was a really good baseball country.
Yeah.
Like the Red Sox would be in on every fucking Irish guy because there's so many Irish people in Boston. It'd be like, it's such the low hanging fruit, like to sell tickets and be like a good fit for the market. Like,
right.
We want fucking Sully McLaughlin from fucking Dublin. Here he fucking hits bombs.
Dude, imagine if the Red Sox
fit in perfect in Southie.
Dude, imagine if the Sox actually had a guy on their team named Sully McLaughlin.
It'd be fucking unbelievable.
You know how many McLaughlin jerseys you'd see?
Oh, dude, unbelievable. Sully McLaughlin.
What about Sully Suzuki?
Yeah, I know.
Sully Suzuki's the newest Red Sox right fielder. I mean, we can't talk to Seiya, but we can talk to Sully right now.
Talk to Sully.
Yeah. Dude, you're gonna be in like a dunks line in the morning, gonna be like, "Yo, kid, you see that dude that the Red Sox just signed, Sully Suzuki?
Fucking Sully, kid.
Yeah, I'll take a large ice regular. Yeah, with a Boston cream.
He's from fucking Southie.
I think that the Mr. Suzuki should just get like all right. So when I was 17, me and my friends, we all ordered like fake IDs from Japan, and they came and they sent them to us, and dude, they were awesome. And I'm just saying, like, he lives in Japan, he should just like get a fake ID that shows he's just a different person, right? So the Red Sox can negotiate with him.
Yeah, Ooh, I like
He just
that.
has on glasses and a mustache.
Yeah.
So, Seiya, if you're listening, just change your name to Sully McLaughlin,
Yeah.
and then just negotiate a deal with the Red Sox.
Yeah. 100%. That just you got to find a way around the rules. I mean,
Dude, I think that's when we do have merch, I think we got to sell Sully McLaughlin NAS
Yeah.
like
100%.
jerseys, dude.
100%.
Like one of two things is going to happen. We're either going to sign Sully or we're going to bring Kyle back. So we're going to have merch opportunities either way
Yeah.
here.
Yeah.
And somewhere in the multiverse, we sign both back, and everything is awesome.
Yep. And Miguel Andujar is a Red Sox.
Yeah.
No, that doesn't happen in any universe. Because we don't want to give up our best player.
Yeah, but no, in some universe, the Yankees fans traded Miguel Andujar for Xander Bogaerts. So I disagree.
Yeah,
Sorry.
but that means the Yankees have Xander Bogaerts then.
Yeah, in some universe, they probably do.
Nah, that's the darkest timeline.
And Bronxy's still alive in that universe. That's the upside down.
And Australia's right side up.
Oh shit! Shout out Sully McLaughlin. Seiya
Shout out
Suzuki.
Sully.
Dude, we got to have him on the podcast at one point. Sully.
Yeah, absolutely. Have Koji be the interpreter, or
Yeah.
we'll use our own interpreting skills since we're all masters in Japanese now.
Yeah, exactly. We got to learn Japanese.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll pick it up. We'll pick it up.
I think we'll just pick it up just from kind of talking about.
Just from talking to Sully.
Yeah.
Yeah. We'll start watching anime with the subtitles off.
Yeah.
I think that's the best way to really learn is by doing that. I think that's perfect.
Yeah, anime porn. I mean anime with no subtitles.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're gonna learn the word for tentacles very quickly.
Oh man. So I think
we actually are progressing labor talks a little bit though for like the first time in 2 months. I wish I could just take a 2-month break where I don't do anything at all like MLB did. And I think they really just got bored, and that's why they actually started negotiating now.
Real quick, if I could just back up, you mentioned that you said you wished you could take a 2-month break where you don't do anything. Sir, you work in hockey. That's called June and July. So that actually exists for you. Just wanted to let you know.
Actually, that existed for an entire year. It was called 2020, and I was losing my mind. So I get it.
Yeah.
Yeah, we are progressing now. So some good news. I don't know the details. I don't think that like if you're listening to this podcast by now, you probably like know like where the MLB and the Players Association is apart on. Like if you are, you just don't care. And I got to be honest, like I don't care like what they're far apart on. I just know that like they're far apart on some things and they're kind of coming together on others, but no deal yet. So
I think the good thing is that they're talking. They're having meetings, they're talking things out, and it looks like they kind of know the topics that they're far apart on and the topics that they agree on. So hopefully in the next couple of weeks here, they'll the things that they are pretty far apart on, they can narrow that gap and hopefully get a deal done at some point.
Yeah. So one thing I didn't even realize is we are still going to have spring training, because spring training still goes on for minor leaguers. So it's going to look different, but we're still going to have, pitchers and catchers reporting, and we're still going to have, actual games going on. So it will be, kind of interesting to see where MLB players kind of fit in with all of that, and how it's going to affect their season, kind of like how we've mentioned a few times in the past before But we are kind of knocking on that door now. I mean, we're only a few weeks away. We're about to hit February here. Basically once the Super Bowl's over, that's baseball season, and that's only 2 weeks away now.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Well, let me ask you this: if I'm Sully, right, and I like already picked my team, and I know which team I'm going to, and I haven't maybe worked out a contract with them, like worked out the details, dude, like I'm just showing up to spring training, like with the minor league players. I'm just showing up. Like,
Yeah.
I'm just dropping bombs, and I'm like, I know I'm going to sign with this team. Like, it's not done yet. It's not official. But what are they going to say? Like, no, Sully, you can't come in JetBlue Park. Like, you
No,
can't
they
come
would
train with
I
the
don't.
minor
I
leaguers.
don't.
Like, no.
I don't think the league would say no to Sully. Coming to JetBlue.
No.
Ripping it up in Florida, Fort Myers. Just getting bitches and dropping bombs at JetBlue.
No. And
So
yeah. Go ahead. Go ahead.
So I think, yeah, I think it's going to be somewhat of like a Rudy type of situation where, they put him on the team, but he's always on the bench. He never gets a chance to come into the game. And you just hear JetBlue Park go, Sully, Sully, Sully. And then, he comes out bottom of the ninth and he hits a home run to win a meaningless game. And the crowd goes wild. And that's basically the closest that, he's ever going to get to the major leagues. But that one moment meant so much to him.
The crowd starts going crazy, and then shipping up to Boston starts playing.
Yeah.
Sully, the Irishman.
Oh,
Yeah.
what
Callum Scott comes out and he's singing Dancing on My Own.
He actually does take Sully home.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Who wouldn't? Oh,
yes,
Yeah.
that was there.
Yeah.
Also, Sully by the way,
Sully is the guy that Callum Scott is coming home with, actually.
Yeah. No, exactly. That is Sully. See, that song was written for Sully.
Yeah.
Yeah. People forget.
Yeah.
Shout out Sully. Please come.
Yep. So it has been a little while since we've done the look upon a former Sox year. So hopefully we get something out of the early 2000s this time. So that way we might be able to shake it up a little bit from where things have been before.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
As long as you don't get 01, that's the only thing. Because 03 was an awesome year. And yeah. And we already did.
We got. Yeah.
Sorry.
Oh, sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt.
No, go ahead.
Yeah. We did get the best team ever to exist in the 2011 Red Sox. Oh,
my God.
This is going to be a fun one.
The chicken and beer Sox.
Yes. So I think we should start at the beginning of the season and kind of progress how it went, because it was one of the more memorable years in Red Sox history, not for the right reasons, but should be a good one.
Oh, I mean, well, this team steamrolled everyone. Like, they were, it was like, dude, they were on their way to a World Series. Like, there was no stopping this team from, April to August. It was just unbelievable. Firing on all cylinders. Adrian Gonzalez, MVP type year. Just an awesome year for the Sox. And then it all fell apart. But, yeah.
Well, if I remember correctly, that team started off pretty bad. They got out of the gates kind of stumbling a little bit. They started on the road kind of like we have in years past, and then they really found their footing. They were the best team in baseball for 5 months out of the year. It was just the first and the last month they were the worst.
Yeah, they had some kinks early in the year, but
they went on a 6-game skid to start the year.
Yeah, but that's and then they quickly snapped out of it, and then they were just steamrolling everyone in the summer.
Yeah.
No, I think that was actually the first time I went to Yankee Stadium was in 2011 against the Red Sox. Josh Beckett pitched an absolute gem that game. I remember that. And it really felt like we were on top of the world. Like nothing could go wrong, and we're gonna make the playoffs, and this could be the best team ever.
Yep. 2011 was what we wanted. What 2018. 2011 should have been what 2018 was, given the roster. This was by far the most talented Red Sox roster besides, I would say, 2018. Or yeah, I don't know, 09. 09 was very, very good.
Yeah. Well, let's go through that lineup of 2011. You had Salty, Agon, Pedroia, my favorite player, Marco Scutero, Kevin Youkilis at third, everybody's favorite Carl Crawford, Jacoby Ellsbury, J.D. Drew, and David Ortiz as, your regular lineup.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that team, there's no weaknesses.
Yeah, that I know you did the 1 through 9 for positional, but like the way that offensively lineup worked out was Ellsbury leading off, Pedroia batting second, and then you had a slew of guys you could bat third. Any one of those four, Crawford, Youkilis, Gonzalez, or Big Papi, you could bat any of those guys third or fourth. So, I mean, that team really was just stacked. And athleticism, too. I mean, you had the three-headed monster speed-wise of Ellsbury, Pedroia, and Carl Crawford. I mean, you just didn't have that type of athleticism. Then you had Gonzalez and Ortiz driving in runs. And, I mean, that team really was so dynamic and so fun to watch. Just such a shame.
Such a shame it all came crashing down.
Yeah, that team was they were almost like an Icarus where they flew too close to the sun and it all ended up crashing and burning for them. And, it really came that September specifically that, everybody remembers with all the clubhouse chemistry and just how awful the entire pitching staff was. Even, guys like Beckett and Lester and Clay Buchholz were even struggling then. And then, of course, you had John Lackey with a 6.41 ERA the entire season that shouldn't have been pitching. He was hurt. He was just hurt at the end of the day and needed Tommy John. But, yeah, I remember hating John Lackey more than just about any other player at any other point in my Red Sox fandom at that point.
And at the end of the day, I think the end of that year, ruined a lot of guys' careers with the Red Sox. I think that after that year, Crawford and Gonzalez, they were permanently damaged. I don't think they could bounce back. Obviously, you saw it in 2012 being dealt, and then Beckett as well. And those were the three and they got dealt the year after. So it was just like that was the nail in the coffin. But all great players in their own right. Crawford was a disaster with the Red Sox, obviously. And sure as shit, the season ended on, that Robert Andino line drive.
I was at the game. Yep.
Ooh.
Yep. The curse of the Andino. So he fucking killed us.
I remember that game almost too much in detail. So, it was late September game, Baltimore, a little bit rainy. There was actually like an over-hour rain delay in that game, so it didn't even finish until beyond midnight. Jonathan Papelbon comes in with, a 4-2 lead. He gives that up and then just gives up that base hit to Andino. Crawford should have just played it on a hop, kept him at third, or even thrown him out at home. So that entire game kind of epitomized what that season felt like and just how soul-crushing it was.
Right, and I think if you looked at the percentage chance of the Red Sox had to make the playoffs in when there was the 8th inning, I think it was somewhere like 95% because the Rays were losing to the Yankees and the Red Sox were beating the Orioles, and then it flipped at the exact same time. And I just remember the Red Sox losing that game and then them flipping over to the Yankees-Rays game on Nesson because they were like, all right, well, you can watch this now, and because we needed the fucking Yankees to win. And sure as shit, fucking Evan Longoria, stupid fucking line drive that barely got off the ground, snuck over that half wall and left. And I just was absolutely distraught. And then the walk-off home run.
Yeah, I was walking out of the stadium, and, I'm still in utter disbelief. Like I'm like 17, 18 years old maybe, and like I just saw the worst loss in my franchise history. This is honestly just as bad as Aaron Boone's walk off in '03 or Bucky Dent's home run in 1972 or whoever gives a shit. Like that was as bad of a feeling as you're ever gonna feel as a sports fan. And then walking out after that, you just hear like their foghorn of that they use for their home run, and it just got even worse somehow. And like you're wearing full Red Sox gears, hearing it from fucking Orioles fans making fun of you right in your face, and there's nothing you can do about it.
Yeah, and Orioles fans, they loved it because the only thing they could ever do was just play spoiler. Like that was all. And that was like their season. And they actually got into it that year, like spoiling it for the Red Sox because, dude, they were like inundated with Red Sox fans, obviously year after year, especially like the years prior when the hype train was just around the Red Sox. And I mean, people would travel to Camden Yards. It was like Fenway South. Obviously, there's still a ton of Red Sox fans that go, but yeah, it's died down a little bit. But yeah, I mean, like the only time, honestly, recent memory, I think I would say that haven't been that upset about a game. So the only one that I could say that kind of like compares to it is that the Yankee game this past year, the Aaron Judge dropped third strike, and then the fucking double, and then the Giancarlo home run. Like that game. Like, dude, I almost had to be admitted after that game. I had to fucking, dude, I just left my house.
Also at that game.
Yeah, that's unbelievable.
I was at both of these games.
Jeez.
My season ticket should be revoked.
Yeah, they should be. I just left my house. Like, my girlfriend was like, dude, you can't just leave at like 11 o'clock at night and like just walk around the neighborhood. And you're like, you live in Providence. I was like, I just had to leave. I was like,
I mean, nothing worse can happen to you than that. I mean, you could get stabbed and it wouldn't even be as bad.
100%. I literally had to walk it off. I was so fucking angry. And then I have like a bunch of Yankee fan friends, and I was like texting me like, haha, fuck you, like, and fuck, dude. That was the closest thing. But then like I don't remember that much. I don't remember that pain because that got all washed away with them coming back, beating the fucking asses in the wild card game. And then, beating the Rays in the ALDS. But with 2011, that sticks with you. And then you have the next year, 2012. The very next thing after that is you win 66 games. And it's just like, fuck.
So you're even missing the part between when the season ended, that entire collapse, and everything happened with the chicken and beer gate and Francona leaving and why am I blanking on the name? The GM leaving.
Theo.
Yeah, Theo. I don't know why I was blanking there. And Theo leaving. Like, this was literally worst case situation in terms of being a Red Sox fan and having to deal with just so much shit after that.
Yep.
And, I even heard John Lester say, look, a little while ago, looking back now, you want to see your guys having chicken and beer together. That's what fucking dudes do. Like, you're watching baseball. It's your day off. You're not pitching. Like, it's like they're, being villainized because of the result. But like, if that comes out and, they make the playoffs, and even if they don't win the World Series, nobody cares. It was only a story because of the way that they finished.
Right.
Yeah. And people were looking for excuses.
Dude, the 2004 team, they were like the idiots, the lovable idiots. Dude, they were fucking the shit they did in that clubhouse was probably unforgivable. The shit they put in their bodies. Dude, if you looked at like the beginning of the 2004 season and what they looked like from the beginning to the end, like they all gained like 15 pounds. Dude, that's just like how it is. I mean, and not to mention these guys, dude, the chicken and beer thing, these were all pitchers. Like, I'm sorry, but you don't need to be a top tier athlete to be chucking it on the mound. Like, these guys are pros. They know how to keep their arm in shape. Lackey was never a skinny guy. Beckett was never a skinny guy. Lester, kind of like a bigger build. I mean, dude, like they don't need to be running fucking. Dude, like I used to watch Mariano Rivera like warm up before the games when the Yankees would come to town, and he'd be fucking running laps around the stadium. Like, the guy's just a freak. But dude, everyone's different. Like, What works for some is going to be different for others. And if they won the World Series that year, people would be saying, "Oh, that was so awesome! Chicken and beer, dude! Chicken and beer, Red Sox, bro! Fucking world champs,
selling
bro!"
T-shirts and
yeah,
shit.
Exactly. It's just
like,
an act.
What do you think Wade Boggs' reaction was when he heard that players were drinking beer and eating chicken in the clubhouse? He's like, this is literally how I based my entire goddamn career.
Yeah.
And I'm one of the best contact hitters of all time.
Right. Really. Honestly.
No, I mean, but going back, you hear guys, taking shots before games in 2004. And let's say, the Red Sox get swept by the Yankees and that it comes out from Dan Shaughnessy that they're taking shots before the game. That team would have been disassembled and we might have still never won a championship. But because, they won the World Series, it becomes the coolest thing ever. So it really had never anything to do with what the actual story was. It was just how it was presented, essentially.
Yeah.
Exactly.
We do have one more thing before we wrap up here. As promised on the Twitter, we do have the JBJ bobblehead. And if you're watching on YouTube, I have been completely replaced by Jackie Bradley Jr. I'm going to do the rest of the episode as him. So we got a good amount of interaction on this. We got over 80 people retweeting and a lot of people who ended up following us because of it. So if you are listening because of that and it's your first episode, just want to say welcome and, best of luck in the raffle here. So we're using the same random number generator that I use for the Red Sox year counter, except I set it to 81 for the retweets. So we're going to go ahead and spin it here and, just count down from the retweets and announce who it is on the show.
Let's do it.
Yep. So we got lucky number 38. Kurt Schilling.
38. Shout out 38 Studios.
Yep.
Love it.
Yep. Rhode Island's favorite.
Yeah.
So 1, 2, 3, announce
4,
it.
5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38.
Stop the count.
We have what?
Stop the count.
Stop the count.
Stop the count. Yes. So we have Tim John here at Tim_John. He is from Connecticut, unfortunately, the worst state in New England, which I do not regret saying. He has a little bit of a mixed bag here. Red Sox, Giants, Bruins, and Knicks. But he does have JBJ spam account in his bio, so we are giving the bobblehead to a JBJ fan here, which I think
that's good.
Very deserving.
Yeah.
Did he follow?
He did follow us. Actually, you know what? I'm glad I checked. He did follow us, and I actually just followed him back since if you win a raffle with us, we will follow you back.
Yeah, that's cool. Good. So he's the JBJ guy.
I love that.
Yep, exactly.
I love that he won.
Nice. That's awesome.
Yeah, no, we did it in a very fair and balanced way. I know Kyle Sullivan's probably wondering why we didn't just give him free shit. We're gonna give you shit. Don't fucking worry, Kyle.
Kyle Sullivan's punching the air right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Shout out, Kyle.
Yeah.
Punching air right now. No, Kyle just punched a hole through his drywall because his name is Kyle.
and chugged a Mountain Dew.
Yeah.
Yeah, he needs a Mountain Dew after we announced Tim John won it.
Yeah.
Shout out
Big time Timmy John.
Not Jimmy John. Timmy John.
Yep.
I love that he's a JBJ guy, though. I do like that.
No, that is cool. Good.
I know. It would have been
that's actually perfect.
Because there was some people on there where I saw they would just retweet any fucking promotional thing that they came onto their timelines, and I wanted someone who actually deserved it.
Yeah, no, I'm glad Tim John won it. Shout out Tim John.
Yep.
Friend of the show.
Yeah, now.
Yeah, now he is.
With his new JBJ bobblehead, JB Jesus.
That's right.
Exactly.
And that's a nice bobblehead. Where'd you get that, Jack?
I got it at this antique shop in Providence here, but I am a big
Nice.
bobblehead collector. I have a big collection because I am a virgin and I have nothing better to do with my spare time. So
That's okay.
I would rather, collect these little men in plastic form than talk to women. So this is a lifestyle that I've
What would
chosen.
you say is your favorite bobblehead that you have?
One of the ones it was the one that the Paw Sox put out before they left. It was the Tom Brady goat one, where
Oh,
it's an actual goat throwing a football, and it makes no sense for a minor league baseball team
right.
to be doing this, but it's still a fantastic bobblehead.
It's a great one. I like that. That's awesome. But that looks like a
I
great
also have a
JPJ
Dusty
bob.
Pedroia one that I love.
Nice. Nice.
Yeah.
Speaking of promotional items, we might have to go to that June 1st game for the Sox and get ourselves the cowboy hats that they have going on
Oh,
for like
yeah.
Country Day. Those are sick.
Absolutely.
Those are sick.
Yeah.
And if we see you with a Not Another Sox podcast hat or any other bootleg merchandise, we will buy a beer for you. But we're also gonna have to, give you a cease and desist and probably sue you, kind of like Nintendo would if you did any type of Pokemon fan emulator.
If we see you with a Sully McLaughlin jersey, we will sue.
I don't
Yeah.
understand anything that Jack just said, except the fact that I do love
Yeah.
the fan emulator completely lost me.
Yeah. So I'm also going to point out how brave I was to actually record tonight instead of playing Pokemon Legend Arceus. So, I'm really dedicated to this. So,
You
and
know
I
what,
want
Jack? You have.
everybody to know how brave I am.
I think Dan Shaughnessy would vote you into the Hall of Fame
Yeah.
just
I
for
don't.
that.
I don't actually.
You don't think he would?
Nope.
I don't want him to because that means I'm right. If he did vote for me, that means I'm Jeff Kent. Like,
Yeah.
and don't get me wrong, there's nothing wrong with being Jeff Kent, but Jeff Kent's
You want
not
to be
going to make
Barry
it into the
Bonds?
Hall of Fame.
I want to be Barry Bonds, not Jeff Kent.
Yeah, exactly.
You're not that guy, pal.
I want to be Mark
You're
Burley.
not that guy, pal.
Yeah.
Absolutely, I am.
Absolutely, I'm Jeff Kent.
Yeah.
Well, shout out Tim John.
Yep.
For winning.
Yep.
Love that. We'll get your information and send that out to you.
Yeah. You're gonna have to listen. We're not just gonna give it to you.
Okay.
You're gonna have to actually claim it.
All right. Oh, that's good. I like that actually. I like that, Jack.
Yeah.
Jack, you got your head on straight tonight. Let me tell you.
I feel like it's just so many times screwed over that it eventually got into the right spot.
Yeah. When you hear the click, that's when you know you got it.
Yeah.
All right.
When you see the Hat Man, that's when you know you got it.
All right.
Right.
The hat man got brought up. That's when the show's over. All right. Let's wrap it up.
It took 17 Benadryls.
Yeah.
I'm going to sleep. All right. Well, I think that
Peace.
about does it. Peace.
Later, boys. Take it easy. Thanks for listening, everyone.